Hello and welcome to Cumbersome Guys with your lovely co-hosts. I'm Jesse and I'm here with
And
my brother in crime, Cameron.
brother in crime, I like that. Brother in crime. Not my actual brother, but he's been so ingratiated into my lifestyle these days that I think within what, a week or two, we agreed that, we're brothers now. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mine
I think we're listed as brothers on Facebook too. So it's
we
Facebook
are.
official.
We have been for 16 years. 16 years
Exactly.
strong, man.
But anyway, this is a little podcast we decided to do. We've always had a great rapport with each other, and I have a great knowledge of all sorts of pop culture, politics. I mean, you fucking name it. We love shooting the shit, and I figured why
We
not
get down
weaponize
with the
this?
nerd convo. That's what we do, man. And I don't even consider it nerd convo anymore since all of the stuff that we're going to discuss is pretty much in the casual zeitgeist these days.
Well, everyone's a nerd now. It's, time caught up with us.
Time caught up with all of the people in our demographic or age. So nowadays, when people hear things like wrestling and video games and music and movies and anime, these are topics that people have all dabbled into at one point in their life. So, yeah, it's
And
nice. And
and
this
with
is
and
sort of a go on.
Yeah, and with the advent of streaming and things like that, people are much more open to watch things like, anime. People your average viewer will pop into a Castlevania adaptation and be like, "Wow, I actually like this." Where that would have been
Yep.
a much more niche thing in, let's say, the 90s or the thousands, which brings me to our topic, which is today. And we'll do another episode covering the second half of the year, but we're going to be doing 2001. What a
Yes.
year that was.
Excellent, excellent topic. And I just got done. Well, I'm near the end of Majora's Mask, which I got for Christmas in 2000. And beating it occurred in 2001. I wanted to lead in with that, but you kind of stole my thunder there. So that's all good, you know? Yeah, yes, you totally did. But yes, 2001, this was a very, very big year for Jesse and myself. I can honestly say this is one of the more important years in terms of my consumption of media, my consumption of pro wrestling and video games. And a lot of things happened towards the end of the year that we're not going to discuss this episode. We're going to be discussing more of the first half of 2001 and the things that mattered to us the most. And with that being said, Jesse, shall we get into the first topic?
Yeah, let's fucking plow it.
Okay, so the first topic here is the general state of pro wrestling during this time. I wanted to start out with video games, but hey, it's at the top of my header, and let's go. So, in pro wrestling, we started the year off real hot. The Attitude Era was just about coming to its end, and ECW and WCW. January was a pretty big month for news. ECW had just had its last pay-per-view, Guilty as Charged, and the rumors of WCW being sold to Fusion was not just big news, but it was unbelievable news, especially with rumors about Vince McMahon possibly being a buyer, but that was unconfirmed up until it actually happened. Bischoff was looking for a buyer. WCW was just at its all-time low in terms of ratings, and ECW was basically done and buried. They had one more show in Arkansas, like at the beginning of March, but for the most part, how do you feel about ECW dying? That was a big one for me. A
I mean,
huge one.
obviously, ECW dying was extremely sad. That was kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like the first coming of something like a PWG, like a really, really big sort of a indie company that, it had its
And
own
that
little like following. That's
and that's a
like a
shame.
cult following.
It was a shame because it nowadays we look back on it as a national television product, but in reality, this was a company that was always looked at by the big two, WCW and WWE, as a glorified indie with national TV, which they
Yeah.
achieved in 1999.
And
So that really did go on.
they also kind of looked at it like a vulture looks at like a dead cow, just like picking at it the
Yep,
second anything
and
gets hot.
Yeah, man. And ECW's product pretty much stayed hot and they had huge crowds, but they just couldn't pay the talent because every pay-per-view they ran, they had to wait months and months and months before they actually got the money for it. So Paul really couldn't pay anyone. I'm talking about Paul Heyman. And yeah, that kind of sucked, because I had been to an ECW show with my brother in around 96, 97. I forget the year, but going to that arena and being at the time 10-year-old child in a sea of mid 20s late teen that demographic, that age demographic, it was pretty surreal, and it felt like a genuinely, like, it was a hot atmosphere. You couldn't
It
compare it
is.
to going to a WWE show. It was
Yeah,
crazy.
Philly's always kind of kept that too. I mean, like I remember like us going to CCW, which was like, kind of the next coming of ECW in Philadelphia.
Yeah, man,
Um,
CZW basically replaced ECW.
it's like a rabid, you're in like a sea of just the most rabid Philadelphians you've ever been in. And like there is that smart part of you that's like, I probably am like slightly in some sort of danger, but at the end of the day, it's like, it's exciting. It's like being
It
on a
is.
roller coaster.
It's like when we went to CZW and we saw that Bad Bones versus who was he fighting? Who was what was the match? It was Bad Bones versus whoever was the champion in WXW. And as soon as that table spot happened and the crowd just vociferously turned on the show, it was like that was the first time I had been to a wrestling show and I felt, oh my God, like this feels hostile. This
Yeah,
feels
they
serious.
over a botched table spot. Like you've never like usually you get a "you fucked up" chant. This was kind of like, oh, are they gonna start like tossing things?
Yes, yes, it was incredible. Like just the energy that I felt. And as somebody who's a realist, you know that nothing's going to pop off that seriously because this ain't the 80s and 70s and 60s anymore. But still, it was one of those moments where I really felt like Jesus, like this is a serious hardcore fan base and they want to see blood and they don't want to see any sort of botches. They don't want to see fuck ups or anything like that. But let's keep it going here.
Yeah, no, so
2000.
back on feelings of ECW dropping. It like definitely a shock. I was much younger back then, and ECW was just kind of something that you would like catch on public access when my mom let me stay up late, and I had the shitty fucking PlayStation 1 game.
Oh man, I remember living in Florida with my father, and it was late night, around 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I turned on and I saw the promotion. I was like, oh my God, I think this is the promotion that Mike took me to. Mike being my older brother, to all those listening. And I saw RVD, and he completely blew my mind. And I strictly I really remember those what his tie-dye, what would you define his singlet art style as, like tie-dye.
It's like I like Ocean City airbrushed like if you ever like been to like
Mm.
any sort of like boardwalk kind of city and they sell those like shitty fucking like airbrush t-shirts. That's kind of like, and he had an airbrush artist that designed all of them, so he was going
His
for
shit
that
looked
kind of vibe.
good.
It did.
His stuff looked great. And the one thing I remember more than anything was like how much cussing there was. They were cutting promos where, this was like they were not censoring it or anything on this access channel in Tampa. I think it was the Sunshine Network. And they did not censor anything at 2 o'clock in the morning. I was hearing people like RVD and Taz spout off the word shit, fuck. I mean, the whole
All of it.
Megillah. The whole Megillah. All right, so moving on from ECW, and WCW eventually was sold in March of that year. With the build up to Mania that year, WrestleMania. WrestleMania 17 was one of the greatest build ups to any show in the history of the business. And we had a great Rumble, including that fantastic ladder match with Benoit and Jericho. We had a
Yeah.
fantastic, yeah, let's and then we had that great Rumble where Austin and Rock had that moment where they're in the corner looking at each other, and that was the start of what would become the greatest music video in the
Yeah,
history of
with
pro wrestling.
My Way by Limp Bizkit, perhaps like
Oh
one of the
man.
most 2001 songs to 2001. Although I think that album came out the year before, but still just
Oh, it came out in the autumn or the late summer of 2000, but they used this song so perfectly. And but let's get back. Let me build up to that. We had the Rumble, and then No Way Out happened, and The Rock took the title off of Angle. And at that point, we knew, holy crap, we're getting Austin Rock #2. We hadn't seen it in 2 years, but this time it was bigger. It was so much bigger. Like you couldn't express words as to how big this was going to be, and it felt that way too. When you
it
were
was the peak
watching,
of
go,
it was the peak of both Rock and Austin at that point too, in terms of just like mainstream popularity. So it was also kind of like one of the few WrestleManias, perhaps outside of like the first ones, where it had like an appeal that, people that didn't even really like watch Wrestling Weekly were kind of
it
like, shit, I'll fucking watch it.
transcended appeal, my friend. Like this was the how severe this was in terms of kayfabe. Just watching it as a fan, and in hindsight, this was Austin and Rock's last time as full-time performers. This was it, like they were at the height of their performance, their wrestling, their popularity, and after that, Rock went to do Hollywood. I think he was going to do the Scorpion King right after that. I've seen this
Yeah.
show so many times
Mania
that I don't
itself.
even need to bring up the
Let's
Wikipedia
get
or
to that.
cagematch.net
Let's do a little
pages.
bit of a
I
deep
know
dive
this
on
show
Mania
from
That's
we
good.
top to
had
bottom.
I just
We
pulled up
had
the
Jericho and
card.
William
I was ready
Regal,
for you.
which was a feud based on pissing and tea, having a
Yeah, I
great
always
opening.
you pissed in
Go
the
on.
commissioner's tea. That's like
He
that
soiled the tea.
the
He
soil seed
soiled the
soiled.
tea. Let us decant the tea.
Let us decant the tin. Beautiful.
Let's
Um,
with our
but
urine.
Oh yes, and that was the kind of storytelling they were doing back then. But it made sense because Regal was such a posh little dickhead, and Jericho was, an edgy, for the
Metalhead.
people. Yeah, and the great opener. Then we had the APA and Taz basically squashing the right to censor, which was a nice build-up over the past like 8 months, where somebody had to put the right to censor in their place, and they got done in, which was very, very nice. And the third match,
Can we talk
mhm,
about real quick what is like perhaps the most like ear-shattering worst entrance theme in wrestling history? I mean, like I often find myself skipping right the censor matches just so I do not have to deal with like an alarm going. It's like an
the
alarm going on.
alarm. That was
It's
just it. It was an alarm. And
and
it
they
made
like
everyone angry.
didn't they weren't exactly like they definitely overhammed it. Like they would keep that shit running for like a good minute.
It was a perfect heel stable for the time period that they were allotted. They were given about 8 to 9 months, and by around December or November, they had nuclear heat, and it was like when you heard them coming out, people booed the fuck out of them. It was some serious shit. They wanted to see Stevie Richards get his ass kicked. Like
Who
there's no
wouldn't?
bones of yeah, like when you look at Stevie Richards at that time, he looked like a real, like, how would you say? He looked like a Jehovah's Witness, and that's kind of what the whole group was going for. They had that whole Jehovah's Witness steez about them. And there's nothing that you can say. Oh, unfortunately, he didn't get in the ring that night. I think he took a bump, but it's been a while since I watched it.
He was more the
Um,
mouthpiece than anything. They definitely like they put like Goodfather and other people. I think Ivory probably fucking ended up in more goddamn matches than he did.
do you know why Richards wasn't allowed to get in the ring?
Maybe he was like hurt or something. I can only imagine maybe he was just like hurt.
No,
I
it was because he had what Jim Ross and talent relations consider to be a unfit body. When he got
too
signed,
small.
it wasn't the body, it wasn't his size. It was the fact that
Really?
he had gained, it was the fact that he had a bit of a pudge on him.
Wow.
If you ever listen to Stevie Richards talk about that time period, he's very sensitive about the fact that, At the time, they considered him to be out of shape, and they didn't really want him on TV. That's why they had him wearing the dress shirt.
Yeah, putting the shirt on him. That's
Yeah.
the WWE classic. It's like kind of not too far removed from this period of time is when The Rock was like wearing a lot of shirts because of the roid boobs for
Yeah,
lack of a
let's
better
just
term.
say he had man titties.
He had
He
some roid
did.
titties. And like
That's
Fight Club,
why.
like Bob in Fight Club, he had some titties.
Yep, that's why in Royal Rumble '99, he was wearing the what was it, the jumpsuit? Or not a
Yeah.
jumpsuit. He was wearing like the athletic Adidas wear.
Yeah, he had
His
like it's like
fit.
just loose, like a loose athletic shirt.
Yep. They did that specifically to make sure that Rock's uh, malfunctioning body type was not shown to the it was not shown to the
That's
general
the
public.
that's the politically correct way to say roid boobs, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone, I was just like,
Yes,
hey, let's give Cameron an applause for that one. That was good. That was good.
excellent.
He's
And
gonna keep us from getting canceled. This is the man who's holding it together.
there we go. There we go. So, anyways, after the sidebar of the right to censor, we had the what was probably the first pure wrestling match that had taken place at Mania in a long time, possibly since Angle. I mean, possibly since Owen and Brett.
Wait,
Or no, not Owen and Brett.
you can't.
Sean and
You're for
Brett.
you're forgetting Kane and Raven and Big Show. I'm looking at the card
Oh,
right
I
now.
know, but I'm kind of skip. I gotta skip over because if we talk about WrestleMania all night, it's gonna be
That's good.
that's a huge deep dive, man, and we got to keep this one moving. We had Angle and Benoit having a fucking excellent 14-minute match. If I remember, it was 14 minutes,
Yeah, 14
but
minutes and 10 seconds.
yeah, ended on the roll up, and then we let's skip Shane and Vince because that's your typical Attitude Era style brawl. Very hot ending, I must say, very hot ending.
Very hot
Who
ending.
was
Questionable build up, but we can talk about that some other time.
Yeah, that was very questionable. But Trish got her comeuppance. Then
She did.
Vince got his just desserts with when Linda kicked him right in the balls. And Foley being the referee for that match was pretty apropos.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Because
yeah, and it was a street fight. It was a
yeah,
street
man,
fight.
and Foley with his beef towards the McMahons in that storyline, perfect ending. Then we had TLC 2. I mean, what are your thoughts on TLC 2 that haven't already been said?
I can't really say much except I love it. I loved it as a kid. I will say now that I am in my mid 30s and my body hurts more when I wake up each morning. A little harder to watch as the years go on.
Those
Especially
chair
now that
shots, those chair shots, man. The one that
you know
Lita
what it
gave
is for
Spike.
me. You know
Mm.
what it is for me, and this is kind of just like a Hardy thing, to be honest with you. But I mean, it's like just these days watching the Hardys just like land flat back or like like lower back onto like a fucking like ladder. It just like hurts more to watch as I get older, especially
It's
now
not
that I
even just
know.
it's not just the flat back bumps. It's the fact that they did everything they could involving ladders. Elbow drops, leg drops, missing leg drops, missing sentons, and just landing just directly perpendicular, laterally to the, it was nuts. They killed
Cat
themselves.
catapulting the ladders, just like landing on their fucking like tailbone on like a kind of
Mm.
loose ladder, shit like that. Like that's like,
It
I have scoliosis, so my lower back is what gives me pain. And watching that shit, I get like this. I'm like, ah,
Oh,
ah.
dude, WWE recently released unseen footage of the event. If you go to their YouTube page,
Yeah,
and here's one thing I have to say: that Edge spear from the ladder onto Jeff, it looks so much less impressive from the angle they shot from the floor. There was a
yeah.
shot from the floor, and when they did the wide shot, it looked amazing. It looked so grandiose. But then when they shot it from the floor looking up, it was like, looks okay. Looks good. Looks good. But man, the angle that they caught it from with the with that wide shot, that was fantastic.
Basically, if
And
you had nosebleeds, it probably looked great, but if you're in the front
oh
row, you're like, oh.
no, come on, man. Nobody had seen anything like that at the time.
Yeah, this is
That's why
true.
everyone popped so fucking huge. That was a huge fucking pop. That was the spot of the match. Nobody had seen anything like that before. And then they had the involvement of Lita, Spike, Rhino. You got that chair shot that Lita gave Spike. Spike, I gotta give it to him, man. He told Lita before that match, he said, "Fucking lay that in, lay it in." And she was like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, it's
I
Mania,
like
do it.
pain, Lita. I mean, I think Spike's one of those dudes that's definitely you can tell it's like a Mick Foley situation where you can tell that like deep down they're masochists. That's like
Little
you
bit, little bit.
you only go out of your way to take bumps like that a lot if part of you enjoys that pain a little bit.
Did you hear about? Have you
That's why
heard what happened?
deathmatch wrestlers are all crazy.
It is. Did you hear what he said to Taker when Taker and him had a match in late 2001, early 2002? Like Taker gave him a choke slam from the ring to the outside on the floor.
Yeah, I
And
know what spot you're talking about.
yeah, do you know the lore behind that? Because
I
Taker
do.
has gone, okay. So Taker was like, "All right, what do you want to do?" And Spike was like, "All right, I want you to kill me with this choke slam." And Taker said, "No, I'm not going to do that." He said, "No, no, do it to me, man." And Taker said, "Dude, you're gonna die. You're gonna die." He basically said that to him, and Spike said, "I can take it. I can take it." And Taker basically threw up his arms and said, "All right, kid,
My
you're
arms are
getting it."
tied.
Oh man, if you go back, if anyone listening goes back and just type into Google Taker chokeslam Spike to the outside, it is an absolutely brutal bump, and it's a testament to how dedicated Spike Dudley was to getting over his character. And
Yeah, and just getting fucking fucked up.
yep. All right, so then we had the gimmick battle royal, which was very
That's
nice to
it.
see. Go on.
I like that they keep it to like 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Sometimes those kind of like, fallen glory like battle royals could go on for way too long. And it's like
Oh
it
man, the whole appeal of that was the entrances. That was it.
yeah,
The
basically no one really
entrances.
wants to watch any of those people wrestle.
How long did the entrances last? They were like 7 or 8 minutes of entrances, including Bobby Heenan's and Gene Okerlund's. It was ridiculous, man. Just seeing all of them back in a ring in the Attitude Era, it was very, very surreal because we had that taste of late 80s, early 90s. It was just surreal seeing guys like the Repo Man, the Gooker, Slaughter, Brother Love. It was just it was a smorgasbord of gimmicks. And it was
The,
just, that was why it was called the Gimmick Battle Royal.
the Repo Man, he may have been a mid-carder in WWE, but he almost went to the finals in a Fire Pro Wrestling
Oh,
tourney
yeah,
me and Cameron did once.
Jesse and I, we get down on our Fire Pro watch-alongs, and sometimes we orchestrate these tournaments that are just absolutely dog shit crazy. And somehow the Repo Man, he seems to go the distance sometimes. Moving
Yeah, I
on,
mean, like,
go
yeah,
on.
taking down people that you would put in your goat list too. I mean, like, really, like, obnoxious. And his move set is what his move set is in real life, so they're all dog shit match.
Yes, Barry Darso is not exactly the greatest technical worker, but the man knows how to work a brawling style. He comes from that era. I mean, he's from the 80s. He's been through the shit. He's been through that time period. And I thought the Repo Man's entrance and just the music and everything, not everyone knew who he was because his entrance was met with a little bit of apathy. But from somebody like me, I was like, oh man, that's Smash from Demolition. That's fucking awesome. I
Getting
was
a getting
so into
a
that match.
getting a Repo Man pop out of a young Cam. That's the magic of wrestling.
Dude, that's one of the main hooks that got me to beg my mom to buy me that show that morning. I hadn't ordered a pay-per-view since WrestleMania 12 in my home. I had seen many other pay-per-views at other friends' houses, but that match, Rock Austin and the ladder match, and Taker and Triple H, that made me wake up that Sunday morning and I had to tell my mom, we come on, mom. I gotta see this. I know Easter's in a couple weeks. I told my mom, I said, you can skip making me an Easter basket. I don't want anything. I just want to see WrestleMania. And she says, I'm not gonna not give you an Easter basket. I'm making you one. But if you're gonna say something like that to me, yeah, I'll order it. And she was on the phone within about 10 minutes, man. I was so fucking stoked.
That was
I
a good
was
win. You still
Yeah,
got
man,
the
that was a
Easter
good win.
basket.
I
You still
still
got
got
the
that shit,
Easter
man. I
basket.
still got that shit. And I got Conker's Bad Fur Day right before spring break, which was fucking awesome. Um, then the main event. In my opinion, the main event was iconic. That's a fantastic, one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. Little bit shit ending in hindsight. The ending was a very, very questionable decision, basically because Steve or Austin really wanted that to happen, and everyone was like, come on, man, you're a top merch seller." But Austin said, "Let me do it. I deserve it." And JR has famously been quoted as saying, "We owe it to him. We owe it to him to try it out." And what were your
They
thoughts
did.
on that ending?
At the time, I thought it was cool. I was a lot younger, you know. So it's like Austin turning heel is like the wow factor hits you when you're like, what? I was like fucking 10 years old. I say that, now looking back, obviously, I don't think anyone really looks back on that ending as a good idea. I mean, even Austin has kind of come around now as
Oh,
having been like,
he's gone
yeah.
on record saying that he should have stunned Vince right there. He
Yeah,
should
it's
have.
like it is funny. It's like it was such a big ending for the time. I know it was divisive, but a lot of people did think it's badass. But it's like it is so funny, like having like lived it when I was 10 and had been like this is awesome, and then now like I'm an adult and we're all like this was one of the greater gaffes of WrestleMania endings. It's still a great
It
match though.
was. It is. It's a fantastic match. It's brilliant. It's one of the best brawls you'll ever see in WWE. But the downturn of it was the height of the Attitude Era, and then that moment right there fucking killed it. It killed it. It's a
It
very sad, sad song. It's a sad ending.
it is, especially because we know the trajectory of where WWE went creatively after that, and while the ruthless aggression era. Damn, I fucked that one all up.
Yeah, you said ruthless or
ruthless
yes, yes,
aggression
yes.
area.
You got very, very lispy there. You got lispy there, my
I
friend.
was like Sylvester the cat, full on. But no, it's like the ruthless aggression era. It had its good moments, but then immediately after that, when you go into one of like the dark ages of WWE, it's
Oh,
like,
let's get to that. All right. So after the Austin heel turn, things went down sharply. And the next night on Raw, we had a high, high rating. It was like a 5.6 or a 5.5. Because, everyone was like, holy shit, Austin turned heel. And, he had the match with The Rock, the cage match. And, other than that, afterwards the ratings really dipped down. They started getting into the fours. People really didn't want to see Austin as a fucking heel. On top of that, they didn't have any top baby faces lined up for him because Triple H was not a baby face, and they teamed him up with Trips. And you had Taker and Kane, but nobody was really feeling it because nobody really was feeling Taker as a main event champion. Everyone loves Undertaker. Everyone loved Undertaker. What he's done now to his reputation, that's another story. But we're talking about Austin being a heel, and he did a great job with it, and it elevated guys like Jericho and Benoit. But the casual audience, they kind of rejected it in terms of viewership. We by the end of by the end of the year, we were dipping into territories where ratings were around three. Like, remember, I just said the night after Mania was a 5.6 or 5.5. By the end
yeah,
of the year, according to Gerwick.net, we were in 3.9 territory by October. And then in Christmas time, we were around like 3.5. And the week of Christmas, it was a 2.9.
yeah.
This is like that's almost double the audience that's
You
dropped
have
off in terms of
you have
interest.
to you have to also take into account like the mishandling of the alliance also is probably a huge part of that because you bring in all these people that like everyone's excited to see in WWE and then you just completely fucking fall flat. I mean
Oh my God.
in every way possible. Like that also will tank your viewer numbers. I mean like fuck I trying to rewatch that Alliance pay-per-view is painful. It's like all dream matches and they're all like 3 minutes and like
It's not just that, and they're not really dream matches, man. There's nothing really there that hooks you other than RVD and Jeff Hardy. That's
yeah.
really it. That's one dream match that would have fit in if the invasion had been done properly. But I mean, look at who a Kidman versus X-Pac. Who gives a shit? Um, Lance Storm and Mike Awesome versus Edge and Christian. Like the Invasion pay-per-view had one of the highest buy rates in the company's history, and they served them up with some real mid matches on paper. You know, technically speaking, the pay-per-view is pretty good. A lot of those matches are well worked, done well. You know, there's good stuff. There's good work all throughout the show. But who wants to see Mike Awesome and Lance Storm versus Edge and Christian? Who
I'm not
wants
gonna
to see
lie.
that?
I was the guy that wanted to see that.
Okay, I'm a big fan of Lance. I'm a big fan of Mike Awesome. Them teaming up as ex Team Canada members did nothing for me because
Yeah.
it's kind of a nothing match that you would see on the opener of Raw or even Sunday Night Heat.
Yeah, I would say
That
Heat. They were like Heat matches. But I also think a big part of that is just the fact that WWE never wanted to make anything out of the non-WWE people, like anything
oh
more than
they got buried.
basically they wanted them to be Heat people. Like they kept them to that sort of level.
You know what's funny? Apparently, Vince gave them. This is all a myth, but there's word that Vince gave them those WCW, ECW shirts so that they would be big targets to whoever. Like whenever they were having an end of the show brawl, those shirts served as targets for guys like Bradshaw, like mid carders who really wanted to get in their extra shots and lay it in on them. And that was basically it. They didn't have any identity other than the fact that they were the Alliance. No individuals there other than RVD had a real they none of them stood out except for RVD. None of them.
And
They
then
all were just guys.
ham handing Austin into the middle of it. I don't think did anything good for the Alliance or Austin. I think that was a
Okay,
double negative.
I'll say this. When Vince was convincing him, you know, I gotta see the old Stone Cold. We need the old Stone Cold. That was a nice little 3 week hook, you know, that or maybe a 2 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. But man, when he came out after what Vince went to get him at the bar, and Austin was like, "No, I'm not gonna do this." And dude, when that fucking glass shattered and he came out and just stunned the entire alliance. That was one of the greatest Raw moments ever. That was awesome. Like
Oh hell
that was a
yeah.
fucking moment, man. And that
There
was
was
back when
still
Austin. Go on.
I mean there's still good stuff going on. I mean it didn't really I'd say like it didn't get like I wouldn't say that like WWE got like super bad until probably once we're hitting like we're talking like unwatchable bad. Probably once we start hitting '06. It took some time. There's some like really weak periods, but I do have to say that like there like post WrestleMania 17, there is some good stuff. Outside of the fucking alliance, just like being
Uh,
shitty and like fucking the DDP stalker shit with Undertaker, also
oh my
weird.
God, that was unbearable. Like when it was revealed that DDP was the stalker, I will just say this. When I watched it, I was like, wait a minute, why is he stalking her? Like his wife is Kimberly. Like, I remember my friend Antonio said that. He's like, isn't he married to Kimberly Page? Well, her name was Kimberly at the time, but
Yeah, just
geez, like,
Kimberly.
yeah, man, she was Kimberly. Like, and he's going after Taker's wife. You know, I mean, I'm sorry, but Taker's wife at the time,
She
she was
won't
not
Kimberly.
Kimberly. She wasn't Kimberly. She wasn't Kimberly. I'll say that. Yeah, there were good things during that time, including Jericho and Benoit's rise. Benoit and Austin had an excellent fucking SmackDown match. Benoit unfortunately got injured, and he was out for about a year. He didn't come back for a year after that. So for the last half of 2001, we didn't even have Benoit, which sucked. And I know, hey, Chris Benoit, he's a uh he is a piece of shit. Okay. That man
Yeah.
murdered his entire family. But we're talking from the perspective of where we were in 2001. And it was, he was one of the greatest workers we ever saw in the ring. All right, so I just want to say this right now. Chris Benoit's a piece of shit. There's no defending him. He did something that was despicable, and it really fucking harmed the pro wrestling business. But I mean, that was 6 years after 2001. So back then, we looked at Benoit as, the fucking wrestling machine. And it was just so fucking awesome seeing him do everything that he did because I had been following him since ECW. I knew how fucking good he was. I knew just how technically proficient he was. And I had seen him do so much stuff in ECW, Japan, and WCW, he was really fucking flourishing.
Yeah, it's
This
like I knew
man,
him. I knew him mostly from WCW. I didn't get into ECW until kind of after Benoit had left.
man, we had tapes. I was one of those guys who actually had tapes because my older brother, he was super into wrestling too. So I was getting to see him versus Malenko versus Too Cold Scorpio. I got to see the Super J Cup in 1994. I wish I had that show on DVD, but man, like him in the J Cup 94, 95. What, he was the Pegasus Kid. People don't realize before the double what was it, the suicide double homicide, we didn't look at Benoit like that. We looked at him as one of the best workers in the business, and we loved him.
Yeah,
And
as you would look at like a Bret Hart or something, just like an honorable workhorse.
yes, and he was somebody that was the backbone of the whatever promotion that he was in. But with that being said, let's move on. Chris Benoit, he can rest in pieces as far as I'm concerned, but his work back in 2001 was pretty awesome. So that's all I'll say. Now, moving on to our next topic, I'm going to go into the video game industry during 2001. And the video game industry in 2001 was fucking popping. It
Yeah, I mean
was, yeah.
this is the kind of video game scene that is like a stunted millennials' enjoyment of any video games ever since.
Oh man, the nostalgia factor there is pretty huge. I mean, dude, we came into the new year real hot. We had a great Christmas season from 2000. Christmas was dominated by the sales of the PS2, yet the PS2 didn't have the greatest launch lineup. We had Madden, Tekken Tag Tournament, but that was really those were the big hitters, in my
Wow,
opinion.
that was really it.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
like
come on, man.
I like Tekken
Go
Tag
on.
Tournament, but goddamn,
It
like
was a picture perfect. It was better than the arcade version, and I had played a lot of Tekken Tag during that time. And when I saw it on the PS2, I was like, "Dude, this looks better. This looks exponentially better." And when I came into the room and saw my brother playing Madden, after watching NFL 2K on the Dreamcast, when I saw the running animation, the first thing I said was, "Oh my God, it looks so realistic the way he's running. The way he's running looks so much better than NFL 2K." And my brother was just like, "Yep, this is that shit." And I was like, "Yep, I agree. I agree." And however, 2000 Christmas period was also a great time to be an N64 fan. We also a PS1 fan, Dreamcast as well. We had Tony Hawk 2. The
hell
ports
yeah,
for the
I played a
go
lot of
on.
Tony Hawk 2 on my N64. I actually didn't have a PS1. My uncle did, and I played like some of the PS1 games. A lot of PS1 games I played retroactively on my PS2, but I played a lot of Tony Hawk 2 on N64, and I mean like that game changed my life in like
Mm.
musically too. I mean that game like opened my mind up to more types of hip hop and punk and shit, and that's like a major,
Oh,
that's like that
the
evolved into my music taste so
the
heavily.
Tony the Tony Hawk 2 soundtrack went from being all punk, which was Tony Hawk 1, and then we had this nice mix of, I mean, KRS-One was on there.
Yeah.
That was some awesome stuff, man. And not only that, it felt better. It felt better than Tony Hawk 1. It had the manual, and that allowed you to do combinations that were just unheard of. Because in Tony Hawk 1, we didn't have the manual. And Tony Hawk 2 was bigger, better, it felt better, and you could tell that they knew they were onto something with the franchise. Some people consider it to be Neversoft's magnum opus. I personally don't. I think that was Tony Hawk 3.
I
But
agree.
at the time, I thought, Jesus, this is so much better. It almost makes the first one not defunct, but if you're gonna pick which one to play, which one are you going with? And that's a
I'm
rhetorical question.
Yeah, it's like you're gonna go with two. Although I do respect that they added one and two together into one game with the remakes, because now it gives me a reason to go back and play the levels from one as well.
Yeah, man. That Tony Hawk 1 plus 2 and 3 plus 4, those collections are excellent. If
I
anyone's
haven't
listening, go on.
I haven't played 3+4 yet, but I literally just installed it on my computer yesterday, so I'll
Oh,
be I'll
it's
be digging into
awesome.
that soon.
It is a nice 20, 30 hour dig, my friend. And the new
Oh
levels
yeah.
are dope. There's this pinball level in the game that's outstanding.
Oh, that
Out
sounds
fucking
amazing. Yeah.
standing. Yeah, it's like on a pinball table.
I
You're tearing up a pinball table, man. It
I
rocks.
love I love pinball levels like fucking Sonic Adventure. Like yeah, get me all up in that shit.
Oh, that Knights table, man. Oh, I
Yeah, the
love
Knights
that.
Table. The Knights Table. That song is forever stuck in my head
Oh
too.
God, I love that song. That is a nostalgia burst right there. Moving on, we got No Mercy, we got Banjo-Tooie, we got Majora's Mask. I mean, these were some heavy hitters, man. The N64 had a great final 2000. So, going into that, like we entered the new year with the PS2 finally starting to get some real fucking heavy hitters, real big time stuff, man. It found its footing. The next, like we had games like Onimusha, Gran Turismo 3, The Bouncer, and the grand poobah of them all of that year, of the first half, Twisted Metal Black.
Oh yeah,
Twisted Metal Black.
I love Twisted Metal Black. It was like I was almost like I was a little too young for it, but so it's like it scared me. Like so much of that game scared the shit out of me, and I
Oh,
just
yes. Also, to
kids.
our viewers, I was 14 at the time and Jesse was 10.
I was
So
10.
yeah, so that's a pretty big gulf in age difference in terms of how we consumed media at the time. So yes, when that game came out, it was unexpected, and I felt, I'd been pretty burned out on Twisted Metal after Twisted Metal 3, and I thought that 3 and 4 were very, very mid. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, so when the new Twisted Metal came out, I didn't pay too much attention to it, but when the reviews dropped, like this game was getting nines, 9.5s, 10s, from all the big publications. I had to get it. I told my brother, I said, dude, we gotta buy it. And we did. And that was the first time my brother let me take the PS2 into my room. And
It's
I
a
play
rite of passage.
a rite of passage. I said, dude, I gotta play this game, man. And he was like, okay, all right, you can have it for a bit. And, Ryan and I, we had our differences in terms of who owns what and da 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 da. But man, playing Twisted Metal Black in my room all summer long, that was a fucking experience. It was great. Um,
They really mastered everything good about Twisted Metal in that one. Like I thought the secrets in all the levels, like finding the secret racers or like, secret areas, there's a lot in each
yeah,
in
and it
each
was it
particular
was it
level.
was it was deep, not deep deep, but like there were things that you unlocked and areas that you discovered that really required you to, finagle your way around, and it was pretty impressive. I had never seen
It's
anything
almost
like
like
that in a video
platforming.
game.
It's like a
Yeah,
almost like a platforming collectathon within
I
like a
completely
fucking battle
agree.
vehicle game.
It was awesome, man.
And they
There
had
was
done that
things.
before, but it
Oh,
wasn't,
and
I honestly like just not nearly as mastered. I actually like I played the shit out of Twisted Metal 4 and like I liked it because I was a kid and you almost like any game you fucking play when
That
you're 10 years
that
old.
was that the one where everything is like miniature and everything was in an environment where it was like, oh, you're in a bedroom and you're a small car in a bedroom and
Yeah,
everything felt, yeah.
and it was quantity over quality because there's like a fucking insane amount of racers and tracks in that game, but there's just not it's just not, it's not Sounds good.
It was
Not as good
not
as
my
black.
bag, baby. It was not my bag. Not my bag.
This sort of thing ain't my bag, baby.
Austin Powers reference there.
Hitting
Going
real
on, moving
thousands with
on.
it.
Yes. And okay, the big one for me, or not the big one, but let's move on to the second biggest one. The Game Boy Advance was coming.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Game Boy
I um
Advance.
I I actually I got a lot of fucking mileage out of my Game Boy Color. I was late, I will admit, I was late to the Game Boy Advance party. I got the Game Boy Advance when the SP dropped. Um
Oh,
but
so you were about 2 years late on the game. Okay.
I was 2 years later on the GBA, mostly because I was like I I had a poor family, so when it came down to it was like, at that point I hadn't had the PS2 yet. So it was like PS2 or, the upcoming Game Boy Advance, obviously. Which one am I gonna fucking get?
Man, I understand. I understand. And it took me about 2 months after the American release to actually buy it.
Yeah,
But when Antonio, oh, okay, so the Game Boy Advance dropped in March 21st in Japan.
yeah.
And so we had to wait like 3 whole months for it. And I was very, very focused on the releases. And the Japan releases were very, very, it was very extensive. But all I cared about was the American releases. And when we finally got it, we got Castlevania Circle of the Moon, Mario Advanced 1, which was basically a fucking port of the Super Mario All-Stars Mario 2. We got F-Zero Maximum Velocity, and the show stealer in terms of graphical, like, just graphical fidelity was Tony Hawk 2.
Yeah,
Tony
the
Hawk, I know,
Tony Hawk 2
we're
on the Game Boy Advance. That was good.
that made people open their eyes. That was something that we did not expect. Just that stare, it was like an isometric 3D game. The pixels looked fantastic. Everything looked good. The levels were recreated very, very well. And it just felt like we weren't just holding a we I felt like I wasn't just holding a Super Nintendo in my hand. I felt like I was holding something between a Super Nintendo and a Sega Saturn. It just
Yeah.
it felt, having that in your hands was just unbelievable. I could
Uh,
not just get over this, my excitement for that.
Going
It was awesome.
going like making it like more wide than long, I thought was a real revelation. Not that it was like annoying to hold like an original Game Boy or Game Boy Color, but I don't
Oh, the
know. Like
aspect ratio was great. We went from having a square aspect ratio to having a widescreen
a wider one,
ratio.
and it felt more like you were holding a controller too. It's like like a screen and a controller, which is basically like any handheld gaming thing. That's what it is now. You're
Oh
holding a
man, the
controller with a screen in it, like the Switch. The Switch is that, and
yes, yes. The original Game Boy Advance model, if they had had a backlight, if it actually had a backlight included into the screen, I still think the original Game Boy Advance model was superior to the SP.
no, yeah, the SP is a little like it's a little smaller. It doesn't feel as like good in your hand as like as an actual Game Boy Advance. I
Very
can say that.
it very much appealed to Japan because it's compact.
Yeah,
It's, well, I guess Japanese people on average have smaller hands, and Japan is a culture that is focused on small, compact. Everything is
efficient.
appealing. Yes, efficiency. Everything is very, very appealing when it's small and compact because, if you go to a place like Tokyo, a city like Tokyo, homes are not like gargantuan. You're not
No,
walking into a yeah, you're not walking into an apartment that's wide and grand like here in China, which is where I live. I can get a two-bedroom, a huge living room, big kitchen apartment, and it's nothing. But in Japan, smaller space, smaller country, they have to really maximize their space. And a system like the GBASP, it's going to fit. It's going to look sleek and nice because back then it did. But man, that original GBA model, it was excellent. I just wish it had backlight. That's all I wish, man.
yeah,
It
not
was
having the not having the backlight always always sucked. Um, Mostly just honestly, I never really found myself in many situations where I needed the backlight unless I was playing video games when I wasn't
Oh,
supposed to.
you lucky son of a bitch. Because like I went like my first 2 years of the GBA, I literally had to sit at my desk and have a an what was it, a desk lamp, like when you're studying, doing your homework. I had to
Yeah.
have that directly over the GBA, and it was whatever, but
For
still.
my for my Game Boy Color, I had one of those shitty fucking lights that plugged into it. Like doesn't
Hey
really
man,
do anything.
hey, the worm light, the worm light was dope. I gotta say, man, if you angled that correctly, the worm light was nice. If you had it, if you had
I
it.
did. I did have the worm light. I don't think I ever got the angle though. I think that was a little beyond 10 a younger Jesse. I was probably more like 11 when that happened, but
And the other big hitter there was Circle of the Moon, which in my opinion was just blow away impressive. We had a full Symphony of the Night style Castlevania, Metroidvania style game, and the soundtrack was excellent. The castle was huge. The gameplay was fucking on point.
yeah,
It was difficult. Go on.
people sleep on those Castlevania handheld games, man. They're all really good.
Oh, they're all about Aria of Sorrow, but the fucking one that stands out to me is Circle of the Moon. It
Yeah,
was
Circle of the Moon.
difficult. It was difficult. It had that old school challenge to it. It
Yeah.
really just the card system was, take it or leave it. But in terms of
I
just
I
go
like deck
on.
building. I like deck building, so I don't get like I never got put off by card stuff. Yeah, everyone really like I know you're not a big Kingdom Hearts guy, but people really got their ass chapped by Chain of Memories, and I was like, it's interesting. I like deck building. It adds a strategic factor to things. Like that's why I like Neon White and shit like that so much. Like that's fun to me.
Ooh, Neon White, the cards. Yeah, yeah. Neon White is one of those games where cards, it's very appealing and how it like levels up your character and the upgrades and whatnot. Like
Yeah,
that kind
but
of shit is awesome.
yeah, I like a good deck builder. So Circle of the Moon, like the card shit in Circle of the Moon, I'm all for it. I'm pro.
Yeah, man, I'm pro. I was pro Circle of the Moon and Tony Hawk 2. And then, oh well, we'll get on to the in the later half of the year. We'll get onto that in the next episode.
Yeah.
Next up is E3 2001, and holy shit.
Yeah, this is one of
Oh
the big
my.
ones. And by
This was
big
a big
one,
one.
I mean good, because sometimes a big one with E3 means the opposite of good.
Dude, okay, so to everyone listening who was not in the zeitgeist of E3, E3 was the Electronic Entertainment Expo, and it was where video games once a year were shown to the public at a, you know, like in a grandiose way. This is where developers were showing off their games with trailers and gameplay and, demo kiosks. And it was where, like, you really, as a developer or a publisher, you revealed your big hitters that were coming out later in the year. And this E3 was outstanding. We had the final GameCube reveal, controller, the system, the way it would look. We had seen something in Space World the previous year, but this year they're like, all right, guys, this is the controller. This is how it's going to operate. This is the disc format, and it was like, oh shit, the disc format, as my father let me know, was was it yeah, Matsushita. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was it.
Matsushita.
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 Yep. Yep. And my when my dad saw that, he was like, oh snap. This is pretty cool. Because my dad was very, very into technology at the time. He was a techie. And when he saw that, he was like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. He said, because he let me know, he said, the way that information is processed in Matsushita is very, very fast. Like information, data, and all that stuff. It's a very, very quick. It's a very quick file format, and I was like, "Whoa, okay, cool, that's nice," and I was excited for it. The Xbox was released, and how do you feel about the Xbox in terms of its first year?
See, I'm like I never really had an Xbox. My mom's friend did have an Xbox. I don't know. I did I do I look back on games on the Xbox now, and there's a lot of games I wish that I had had more time with, like, Jet Set Radio Future. I played plenty of Halo 2 with my cousins. That was never a original. Let me look up the original Xbox launch.
Okay, we
Um
had Fusion Frenzy,
okay, Fusion Frenzy.
we had Halo Combat Evolve, which was a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Probably still in my top 15, top 10. Love that game.
This is actually
Like
a really solid I'm looking at
oh,
the
we had
launch. This is
Munch's Odyssey,
yeah,
the
I'm saying
Oddworld.
Munch's fucking Odyssey. Goddamn, like
That was a
there's like
solid fucking game, man.
Project Gotham was like, that was a pretty
Oh,
solid realistic racer.
PGR. Wow, the first PGR. Nice.
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
okay.
this is a good I even though I wasn't there and didn't have one when it happened, I have to say, knowing what I know about, Xbox games, this is a I mean it's a better launch lineup than the PS2 had.
Also, we had trailers for some real heavy PS2 hitters. We
Oh
had
yeah.
Metal Gear 2. We had Metal Gear Solid 2, GTA 3, GTA 3,
Hmm.
which went under the radar. Nobody was really looking at that game too hard.
Oh,
Nobody
well, that's
was.
because I mean, people liked Grand Theft Auto 1 and 2, but Grand Theft Auto didn't become Grand Theft Auto really until 3. That was the game that was going to make people look out for Grand Theft Auto going forward.
And we will discuss that in the second episode because GTA 3 was a monumental historical, cultural fucking significance. That was. It was like
Hmm.
but we didn't know. We didn't know. Like we just saw it and we were like, okay, new GTA, it's in 3D. Ooh. But at that time, we had been groomed to expect that a lot of 2D games that were going into 3D weren't going to be all that. So, we had our eyes open, but we were also, personally, I was a little skeptical. So that's where I'll leave it in terms of my perception of it.
Dun dun
But,
dun.
dun dun dun. But let's discuss the big trailer of that show. Which one am I talking about?
Wave Race, Blue Storm. Kidding.
You son of a bitch. You motherfucker.
I'm guessing
Okay,
you're
all
talking,
right.
what are you talking about? Luigi's Mansion or Metroid Prime? It could go either way, I feel like.
I think you were completely off the fucking grid here, man. I
Oh,
think
I
you have
am.
gone off the reservation. I'm talking about the trailer for Super Smash Brothers Melee.
Oh, fuck yeah. I forgot that also dropped on that. That's a big
How did you fuck this one up?
because there's so many things came out in that E3, man.
Oh my God. Come on, man. Like we're talking about the greatest trailer that ever fucking popped out.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. This is the quintessential trailer for any video game release that was ever gonna fucking come out in about like 6 months. We got one of the greatest trailers of all time. This was a fully orchestrated soundtrack. We
Hmm.
had a complete we knew everything that was going to go into it. We had Mario, we had reveals like Peach. We had Ridley, who people thought was going to be a playable character.
It would take
The
one more game.
Sheik, everything, man. Like this was one of the greatest trailers that had ever come out, and it really felt like next generation. It
It felt
felt
like a
like
movie trailer. It was
it
like
did.
genuinely game trailers kind of feel different from movie trailers just overall because they have to show gameplay and that obviously takes out of the, more of the cinematic aspects. But this is like it genuinely felt like a fucking like it's like a teaser trailer you see for like the next Marvel movie or some shit like
It
that and
was
you're
an
like, "Oh, fuck."
event. It was an event, just like a Marvel trailer. I'm talking Marvel trailers pre 2020. Like this was an event. This let us know that we were really in the next gen and that Nintendo was not fucking around. Not at
No.
all.
That's like, and man, the guy that's like the one thing the GameCube truly has going for it, till to this day, like ages well and everything, are those all those beautiful Nintendo exclusives on it.
Oh, the Nintendo exclusives in the GameCube era are pretty on point, man. You
And
can't
Melee
rep
is like one of the biggest ones. I mean, like we look at Melee now, Melee is still so beloved that like there is like a fucking rabid cult like inside of the fighting game community that will only
Oh,
play Melee.
absolutely. It's like it its fighting mechanics are considered to be top tier, and I play it and I think, oh, it feels great. It's very tight. I don't get really into the whole like wave dashing and all that kind of whatnot. Like the real hardcore technical aspects of it, I don't get into. But God, good Lord, man, like it.
Plays
Let,
it.
let's focus
I
on the let's focus on the trailer. Let's focus on the
Okay.
trailer and like 'cause we'll get into the actual gameplay aspects of it in the next episode. But to me, the trailer it felt like a tribute to Nintendo. It was like Nintendo taking itself and saying, "Hey guys, here is a trophy for ourselves. This is something that we want to sell." It was like a celebration of their entire IP. It
That's
just
like kind of that's what Smash Bros became. That's kind of why I don't like nothing against the first Super Smash Brothers. It was great when it came out. I have no reason to revisit it.
it was an
Um
arcade classic. I'll say that. It was
yeah.
an arcade
Yeah.
classic.
But I think Melee and Forward is when it starts becoming a love letter to the company. And I think
Oh,
that's
come
like,
on, man. The deep cuts like ice climbers.
yeah,
Like
shit
ice
like that and
climbers, yeah.
the trophies and all the crazy shit you can get. I mean, it's just packed with almost everything you can think of. And this is just
And
Melee. It
dude,
gets crazier with the next games.
at the time, we didn't even know there were going to be trophies. All we had was these like new introductions of Bowser, Peach, Sheik, but then when you saw the fucking ice climbers, you knew this was gonna be a deep cut. This was gonna be a real nice, nasty little fucking deep cut of Nintendo's lore. And that was when I got an IGN Insider subscription. I told my mom I want to pay for this, and she was like,
Yeah.
it's an online subscription. Is it, are we gonna get ripped off? I was like, no, mom, come on. IGN's they're a pretty big deal, and she believed me. So, I got it. Because I wanted to see all the videos. I wanted to see everything. I wanted to see the videos, the pics, everything. Because a lot of that stuff at E3 was locked behind closed doors in terms of a paywall. And people were like, well, if we're gonna, IGN was like, well, if we're gonna reveal anything to you, you gotta pay a little bit of extra. And I was like, all right, good, I'm down, I'm down, I'm down.
I mean, back then it was when that was kind of like more reasonable. Nowadays, everything in their mother is like locked behind a paywall. So it's
Oh man, it's not just a paywall. Everything is a subscription nowadays, man. Everything, everything.
yeah,
If you
gotta
want
keep up
access
with it
to
monthly.
anything, yeah, and if you want anything substantial, you gotta pay up. So
Yeah. That was like we
that
ran into this with this podcast when I was trying to find apps to record the podcast on, and all the ones that do like two-sided audio are fucking locked behind goddamn paywalls, like
Yep,
subscriptions.
yep.
It's
Let's
unavoidable.
let's look at the GameCube launch lineup.
Yeah.
We were promised Luigi's Mansion, Wave Race Blue Storm, Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2, Rogue Leader, and Super Monkey Ball, which I only clicked on when I was burnt out after looking at all the other shit for Luigi's Mansion, Wave Race, and Star Wars and Smash. Like I was completely burnt out on like oh god, what else can I see? And then I clicked into Super Monkey Ball and I was like, oh my God, this game looks fucking awesome too. I didn't even know this was an arcade game, but this shit looks
Yeah.
fucking dope.
And that was like Sega's big comeback as now a game developer. Um
Who was the developer behind that game?
or game
Amusement
publisher.
Visions?
Yeah, it's like a publisher, but that was their first that was the beginning of their comeback after fucking up the Dreamcast.
And it was there was that the GameCube graphic chip. What was it called? It was called like the Triforce. It was a combination of Sega, Nintendo, and another company that created this graphics card or graphics chip that they really pushed it. And when you saw the games in motion at 60 frames per second, it was like, wow, this is like this is some serious, serious shit. Like when okay, we'll get into that in the second episode, but man, when I saw Super Monkey Ball, I was like, wow, this looks amazing. And
It's
I
like
didn't
what
even think, go
one
on.
thing I'll say of that whole like let's say like late 90s thousands consoles and their graphics, the two that still stand out to me as being particularly colorful and beautiful to this day are the Dreamcast and the GameCube. I mean,
Oh man,
they're clean. It's got a cleanliness that like Sony graphics never looked super clean. They are always a little grimy. Like
mm,
even with the PS2, there was like, there's a bit more grime to it than like the just like clear color that is like fucking Dreamcasted GameCube. I mean, it's like an onslaught on your
none of that
eyeballs.
there was none of that pixelated blurriness that came with PS1 games, Saturn games. N64 was a bit more refined. It had a much better polygon resolution. And moving on, when you saw games like Virtua Tennis, when you saw games like Super Monkey Ball and Rogue Squadron running at a silky smooth 60 frames per second, that was when we were in the next gen. We were stepping up at that point. That was it. We're going on to the next level. We're going on to Mario 2 Japanese style, the lost
Yeah.
levels. This is the upgrade.
No, yeah, GameCube graphics are I mean they're fucking beautiful. Especially and yes, I am an emulator person, cancel me internet. You get them running on like a fucking like nice computer with an emulator. It looks beautiful.
Yes, it does, man. Like the Dolphin emulator. I mean, I'm not a pirate. I would certainly not pirate any games. Jesse, he may or may not do that, but like when we play games like that on our TVs, we really appreciate how just clean and clear and smooth they run. It's impressive. It really is. It is, man. Like, dude, if you go back and play Rogue Squadron 2, that is that's
Which I
like
have.
art.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
It completely
It's
blows
art.
I love Rogue Squadron 1, but like when you play Rogue Squadron 2, just how much clearer it looks and how like just more smooth it handles than like the more chunky handling and graphics of N64. It's a revelation.
Rogue Squadron 1, just seeing that trailer, like the recreation of the Battle of Yavin. Or is it the Battle of Yavin? Is that it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that introduction to the X-Wings, that's like, man, I was blown away. I was like, man, I gotta get this game. I got to. And I eventually did. And moving on, let's see here. Yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to cover in terms of early 2001. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, as I've gone through my subjects, which were pro wrestling and video games in the state of early 2001, Jesse wants to end this on a rundown of events that happened, and we're gonna spitball this. So,
Yeah,
Jesse,
we're gonna go through I have like an on this day website I found with all the 2001 events on it. We're gonna go through the ones that are interesting and not like tragic. And
okay.
that'll cover basically everything that isn't video games and wrestling because on this day websites aren't they don't care about video games and wrestling. They aren't nerds. But
Nope. Go
all
on,
the
man.
movie events and the tabloid events and everything else is all here. So let's jump into it. We start off
Yes.
strong with January 3rd. Rapper Vanilla Ice spends a night in jail after allegedly pulling out some of his wife's hair during an argument. This
Wow.
happened.
Did he pull out any scalp or was it just hair?
We'll dig into that one. So this happened in Davie, Florida on Interstate 959. He placed his hand over her mouth to shut her up. And then
Oh.
and then admitted to
Oh.
pulling out some of her hair. Um,
Yeah. Okay.
he
Jesus.
he then said, "It's not that big of a deal. I would never hit
Wow.
my wife or any girl or anything like that. I love my
But I'll
wife. I love
gladly
my
pull her hair
kids.
out.
Yeah, just pull her
Jesus.
hair." He says he did it to stop her from jumping out of the truck. Then he goes on to
Oh,
say
that's a
he's
perfect way of getting your wife to jump out of a truck. Okay.
and then he goes on to say he's never done drugs or anything. Keep in mind, in like 2 years, he would be on surreal life for being on drugs. Um, and then
Apropos, apropos.
so yeah, Vanilla Ice starting out the year strong. Then on January 4th, we have some better news with Michael Jordan becomes the fourth player in NBA history to score 30,000 career points when he hits a
Excellent.
free throw in the second quarter of an
I
89-83
remember
win.
that. I remember
Yeah,
that. I remember
against the
that.
Bulls. At this point, he's with the Wizards.
Wizards, yes,
Um,
yes.
I remember that period of time because this is around when NBA Street came out, and the Wizards are on there, and I always wanted to play them because I'm from Baltimore, so the closest thing I have to an NBA team is the Wizards, and like it was always such an interesting like phenomenon to be playing as the Wizards with Michael Jordan on it, and they're like the worst fucking team in the game.
They were, man. Jesus.
It's like
Also, notice everyone, Jesse pronounces Baltimore as Baltimore, and that is a very
Baltimore.
Baltimore. That is a very Baltimore thing to say. Nice.
And then here's a big one. January 9th, Apple announces iTunes at the Macworld Expo.
Ooh, oh, that's the big one. That's the big one. Yeah, go
So
on.
they at this point we had things like Napster. MP3 players were kind of starting to. I mean, they were really shitty back then. The
Oh,
iPods when they first got good, but
oh, come on,
um,
MP3 players at that point. If you were like a cool kid on the bus, you had an MP3 player.
yeah,
That was it.
I was a Walkman kid until the
Me
iPod
too.
Video.
Me
The
too.
iPod
Me too,
Video was
man.
my first, and I
I
remember
didn't have an.
all of my
Go
friends got
on.
Zo all of my friends got Zunes, so there was like a fucking like
When
there
did
was like a
Zooms come out?
war.
Like 2005,
Yeah,
2004?
yeah. That's about when the video came out too. That's when I first got it. I was using a CD Walkman for fucking years, probably
I
past what I
did
should
too,
have.
my friend. Up until 2004, 2005, I had a CD Walkman as well.
Uh,
And like you walk around too fast and it starts skipping.
and so, but no, this is actually a big deal because at the time it kind of just seemed like, Steve Jobs has got a new fucking, like a new little gimmick thing. But this actually changed the music industry
I
entirely.
did. I'm still using iTunes and I have an iPhone and I love the fact that I can put any song that I have that I've downloaded from Kazaa, Morpheus, Napster. Those are files that I still have on my computer from 1999. I've carried
Oh,
those over from computer to computer and to this day, when I get a new iPhone, I can still put those on iTunes and get them on my phone. It's
it's
really nice,
all in
man.
the cloud.
Yeah,
The
dude,
cloud,
it's
the
dope.
cloud. My
Yeah,
only
man.
beef with the cloud is it saves documents I don't want, and I still to this day don't know how to delete them. I've got like fucking like annoying like shit from Small Doll, the film production company I work for. That's like 3 years old. I can't get it out of my fucking cloud. So thanks, Steve.
Hey, thanks, Steve.
Uh,
Thanks,
and
Obama.
That was we weren't quite there yet, but we do have some fun political stuff coming up. January 12th, Downtown Disney opens up in Anaheim, and Downtown Disney was basically the city section of
What the fuck is
Disney.
downtown Disney?
It's
Like
like this
I've never even heard of it.
it's like the city hotel section of Disneyland.
Disneyland. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
so we're in Anaheim, and I was looking this up, and it's really fucking funny. It's like in 2018 they closed like all the stores in it, and all of the stores were stores that were like way too obsolete for 2019. It's like the Earl of Sandwich and like Rainforest
The Earl
Cafe.
of Sandwich. What the fuck is the Earl of
It
Sandwich?
was like a sandwich company that was way popular like in the fucking like 90s and shit. I'm like that still
Okay.
existed in 2019 with what was probably the last existing Rainforest Cafe.
Oh my God, the Rainforest Cafe bringing up some deep cuts here. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, who didn't?
Nice.
I mean, but did you, I imagine you probably went to the one. There's a
Oh, in
neighborhood
Towson
and
Town Center, man. The Towson Town
yeah.
Center. Okay, so Jesse and I, we are both from Baltimore. I'm technically born in Florida, but I was raised and I lived in Baltimore County for about most of my childhood, from age 4 to about 22.
Yeah.
I
Cameron
was a
put in his
Baltimore
dues.
guy.
He put in his dues. He's Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm Baltimore. I am. I am. I am. All
All
right,
right, we
keep it
got another
going.
big one. This is actually another huge one. January 15th, Wikipedia is launched.
Oh
Um,
shit. Whoa, in
and
2001?
yes, it launched with like somewhere around like 160 something articles.
Are
Um,
you fucking kidding me? Jesus, man. I thought Wikipedia came out in 2006.
I think that's when we all started using it more. It had been there for a while, but it was still they were still amassing. It seems like it says that 2007 is when it hit like millions of articles and actually became like the bastion of knowledge. I mean, like I used Wikipedia so fucking much to touch up for this episode. It's like
That's incredible. I never knew that. I never knew 2001 was when it actually launched. That's
yeah,
awesome.
it's like that's like I did think that was crazy. I was like I had
So
no
it's
fucking clue.
25 years old at this point.
Yeah, it's old enough to drink and some change.
It's an established fucking part of our culture. Nice.
It is
Keep it going, man.
for better, for worse sometimes. J January 19th, one of El Chapo's legendary prison escapes takes place when he bribes prison guards and hides in a laundry cart. I think this is the second.
Whoa, that was like some Breaking Bad style shit right there.
Yeah, he's
Does the laundry have to be dirty?
at that point at that point it's like I think you have a fetish you aren't telling us about. Like
A little bit, I got my own
he's
pungent
like
go on, go.
he's like weirdly adamant about the plan. It's like the dirty clothes. Sir,
Ooh,
it could be clean. No, it has
El
to be dirty.
El Chapo with some pungent proclivities. I like it. All right,
I
continue.
Well, I'm looking
Oh,
up
go
how many
on.
times this man escaped from prison.
How many? How
Twice.
many is it? Twice.
Twice. So the
Okay.
first one was 2001, and then and then in 2015 he got
Mm.
another one.
It took him.
This time he
Go
dug
on.
a tunnel.
Yeah.
In the
Yes.
second
Yes.
time.
Man, that guy. He's a monster. All
Yeah.
right. Nice. El
Speaking of
Chapo.
speaking of monsters, January 20th, George W. Bush and Dick Cheney are inaugurated.
Ah, yes. Yes. The Republicans finally took hold of the House after what, 8 years? Good
Yeah.
Lord.
I mean
Nice.
that's kind of
Ah,
seems to
not
be the
not.
pattern. It's like 8 years of a 8 years of a Democrat that doesn't do much, and then
Wait a
because
minute.
of
Let's
the
go back. Bill Clinton put us in a surplus. That was very, very nice.
it was very, very nice, but I
Come on, man. The
we don't
90s,
have to we don't have to go into to Bill Clinton because that hasn't aged
we
very
don't.
well at
But
this
man,
point.
the man left us with a nice surplus of money that was kind of squandered by Bush. But
It was,
you
yeah.
know,
No, it's like it's kind of. I mean, that is like what happens. We have like 8 years of just kind of what you could consider peace,
yes.
and then we get a George Bush, and now it's a Donald Trump. He makes me miss George Bush. I hate that I have to even say that, but I
If I can speak some Chinese, I'd say 我们的总统是垃圾, which means I think our president is trash.
and
There we go.
boy is he. But yeah, so but I remember I actually what's really funny about this inauguration is I was going Catholic school at the time, and leading into this election, they made us do like a school project where it was like we had to run an election campaign, and I ended
Yeah.
up on the George Bush election campaign. And it ended up being like literal propaganda. Like they spun me into being a Bush supporter by like a 10-year-old Bush supporter by the end of it.
So, like,
I
what was this like a fucking like a dice roll or a rock, paper, scissors of who's gonna be on what side?
I think they just like randomly put us on like they just randomly split the class. Like it wasn't even
Okay.
I and
I'm
yeah, so
that's unfortunate.
I know I look back on that and I'm like, damn, they got me. They got
They
me.
did. They hog-tied you there, man.
They got little 10-year-old Jesse fucking rooting for
Whew. 10-year-old
uh
Jesse. That's a potential monster in the making right there.
we ended up on the light side, so that's they tried, but
Go on,
I
keep
do
it
remember
going.
I do remember like I specifically remember this because like we were waiting for the actual results of the election tied into the school project. So when Bush won, I was like
Oh
actually
man.
happy. I was like actually
There
happy.
was a South Park episode that completely fucking like went over that about the recount, and we had Mr. Garrison with the kindergarten students doing the fucking like, oh, we gotta do recount, and he was like, oh, come on, and I remember that. Dude, the November December period of the election process was
Yeah.
very very convoluted because Florida was the deciding vote, right?
It always is.
Yeah. The swing state got it, and it was a big to everyone listening right now. The Florida recount of the 2000 election for the president between George Bush and Al Gore, that was a serious thing that came down to the wire, and they basically were like, "Oh, we want to recount because we don't believe that Bush actually won," but the recount actually worked. It actually worked in Bush's favor, and it resulted in what became a very, very tumultuous presidency. I'm not going to say that George Bush was the worst president, but
He
we
wasn't great. He was certainly one of the dumber ones. I can't. I'll give him that. I mean, dumb in like a really like like homegrown, good old boy kind of dumb.
and back then I wasn't into politics that hard, but in 2008 when Mark Keane really was like, dude, you got to hear this. And he put on this YouTube video, but it was entitled greatest moments in presidential history. And it was George Bush just totally bumbling his words
Gotta put food on your family.
You're working hard to put food on your family.
like a cauliflower in water. This man was just bumbling his words. And I was like, really? This was the guy? This was the man that was in charge of our country? And it made me see another light. And that was one of the reasons I sort of and kind of 100% I was like, I would like to have somebody in charge who was a bit more eloquent.
I would say
Eloquent
like
is what
Bush
I'll
is what
say.
radicalized. Like that's kind of when I started getting politically like involved in leftist matters. Is like a Bush did radicalize the millennials. Like we grew. That was when we were all hitting like teenage.
Yeah,
We
it
were like.
was. It was. All right.
So
So,
anyway,
yeah, go on. Go on.
so now some better, more fun news at local to me in Cameron on January 28th, the Ravens win the Super Bowl
Oh
against the New
my.
York Giants,
Oh my.
34 to
Oh.
7. I forgot that we
Oh, the
destroyed them.
defense. The Ravens
Yeah,
defense that
let's
year was
be clear,
incredible.
that was all defense. Trent Dilfer was just kind of the guy that was there. I
Yep,
just
he
want to go
was.
on record and say that.
The offense, if you go back and look at the Ravens 2001 year, the offense was not the star of the show. It was all defense led by Ray Lewis. And say what you will about Ray Lewis as a person and what he's been accused of, but good Lord, the Ravens defense that year was on fucking point.
Oh,
It
hell
was
yeah. I
unbelievable.
mean, it's a legendary defense. It's what put I mean, it's what put Ray Lewis on the map as a legend. His
And
personal
I
squabbles
got to go
aside.
I got to go to several games that year at home. Like I really got to actually see that team play. I got to see one of the greatest Super Bowl teams play right in front of my eyes.
Oh, hell
And
yeah.
yeah, it was awesome.
All
So,
right, then
Jen,
we're jumping
go on.
jumping into February with a busy day. We got two things here on February 18th. The first is the Daytona 500 takes place. This is the one where Dale Earnhardt would unfortunately die during. Um, one thing I should joke about this.
As a meme back in the day said, he hit it like a wall.
There's actually here's some local Baltimore comedy lore. There's a local comedian named Tom Myers. He's known for being kind of like a Jerry Seinfeld sort of hack, but a little edgy, I would say. But he got banned from 98 Rock for like the dumbest Dale Earnhardt joke. Like literally all his whole joke was, "Well, I guess he's not racing anymore." Huh? And
That was it. That was
yeah,
it.
immediately banned. Cannot go back to 98 Rock. But what cracked me up about this is I didn't realize that someone also won this race, some guy named Michael Waltrip, and I that just has
Wait,
to be.
everyone, Jesse had a very, very prophetic realization that somebody won a race.
I thought maybe they stopped it or something like that. I don't really know much about Dale Earnhardt's death. It certainly affected my redneck family members, but the fact that like someone won this race, like that, there's like that a person. It's like someone's dream to win Daytona 500, and you
Yes, it
win it,
is.
and it's the race that will only be known for the person that died during it. I'm just like being
That's
Michael
a
Waltrip
shame. Yeah, man. That
sucks.
sucks ass.
That's
That
like the
like
worst.
that meme you sent me, or that video you sent me the other day of that dude being announced as it's the NFL draft, and they said, oh, that guy came up drunk and was like, oh, the winner of the 2016 blah, 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 and then he mispronounced the guy's name, or what did he mispronounce?
He mispronounced everything. He gets the year wrong. He he doesn't say NFL draft right. He mispronounces his name, and then he goes on to mispronounce the school he goes to. The guy goes to Clemson, and he's like Clemson,
Clemson,
Clemson.
Clemson.
With the 35th pick in the 2016 draft, the Buffalo Bills select linebacker T.J. Parker from Clemson.
Clemson, yeah,
I like.
that's
I've seen people
go
that
on.
have gotten nervous during public speaking, but I think that's the first time I've seen genuine like negative public speaking skills. You could not have fucked that up worse. I mean, that was worse than
No,
Mike
you couldn't.
Adamle.
That was bad. Yeah, Adam Lee was a terrible. He was a fucking a verbal terrorist. But that opened my eyes. That
And
was
then
bad.
and then on the same day, Robert Hansen, perhaps one of the biggest Soviet spies in the FBI history, gets busted. And then pulls an Epstein and dies in prison shortly afterwards. This guy
Nice.
handed over more than 6,000 pages of classified documents.
To whom? The
Uh,
U.S.?
the Soviets, like the Soviet, like he was a FBI
Ah,
agent that was a Soviet double agent. He's probably the most prolific Soviet double agent in like FBI history. So that happened on the same day that Dale Earnhardt died.
wow. I
Um,
now notice this, ladies and gentlemen. When Jesse's speaking about things that he knows about this stuff very well, and I am just listening because this is eye-opening. So continue on, my friend.
yeah, but like the classic, he goes to prison, he kills himself, quote quote.
Mm. How did he kill himself? What was the method in which he
Yeah, let's see.
offed his own life?
They say no, it's even worse. It's a mysterious death. He
Oh, naturally, naturally.
he was found unresponsive and is believed to have died of natural causes. He was 79 years old, but I don't know.
Oh, that could go either way. That could go either way, but the circumstances, I'm gonna lean towards. Ooh, who knows? Okay, all right. Continue. Like
All
this is a
right.
great list. We're only in February right now. You're just
Yeah,
running with this.
we're hitting into March. Well, we're all right, so here we go. We
Is
got
that when
March 9th.
Hannibal came out? Or okay, continue.
Oh yeah, so we're in the March 19th now. The Michael Jackson makes his way into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's also in the middle of an ugly court case.
I can
Where
only
he's
imagine what that court case is about.
I don't think we were there yet. I don't think this is not the kid diddling one. It seems to be
Oh,
like
we're
copyright
we're
law.
not even in diddler territory by this point. Oh
Yeah,
my.
no, it's but I believe during this is he has a famous quote that's now going around because the movie is out where he literally calls Jewish people leeches. Uh,
Mmm. Mmm.
I think
That's
he was re
not that's not kosher.
yeah,
That's not kosher.
he's referring to I think lawyers that he is dealing with at the time, which is that's the most classic way to be anti-Semitic.
Ooh.
And March 25th, the Academy Awards happens, and Gladiator just
Oh,
destroys everything.
yes. Gladiator was a fucking huge hit, man. 2000, everyone that I knew was in that movie. Like
I
everyone went to see that movie.
Yeah,
Everyone.
it was the Braveheart of its time. That's the only if I was thinking of like a historic sort of like adventure kind of action movie that people just really went like tits up for that
Hog
was
Wild. Hog Wild over.
yeah.
Oh,
There
come
we
on,
go.
man. Gladiator had a fantastic opening, great battle sequences, and
That's
a good and satisfying ending to the story.
I am a Ridley Scott apologist. I know the man has made some horrible movies, but he's also made like Blade Runner and Gladiator,
He's
some of the
also
gr
made fucking Alien too,
Yeah,
man. Come
yeah,
on.
he's like fucking the man is like he's made enough heat to balance out the bad.
He's earned his stripes where he can even out the bad. That's what I'll say.
All right, March
Now,
30th, we get a little Baltimore here again. At 15 years, 9 months, American swimmer Michael Phelps breaks 200-mile
ooh,
butterfly world record.
oh, Phelps, my boy. I like
In
Phelps.
2001, breaking records. He's like 15 years old. I bet you he was still like 7 foot tall then.
Dude, he's a monster.
He's
He
shaped
is.
like one of those fucking like robots from the Evangelion series.
He
Like
is.
he's
He's
like
like the
this really
Brock Les.
long.
He's the Brock Lesnar of swimming.
He's the Brock
Nobody
Lesnar of
nobody can
having
compete.
arms. He's
Yeah,
got
dude.
like the world's.
Dude, I went to a party in Towson when he was there, and I didn't even know who he was. But when they said, "Oh, that's Michael Phelps," I was like, "Oh," I literally said, like, "Who is he?" And they're like, "Dude, he's like the next big thing in swimming." And as a swimmer myself, because I used to swim for Sparrows Point Country Club, I was I was pretty damn good at it. I respected a good swimmer, and I thought to myself, "Oh shit!" And I went up to him and I said, "What's up?" He didn't shake my hand. He was kind of a little bit of a he was a little bit off how do you say standoffish, and he was hitting a bong. And I know that's like a thing, but he was definitely getting high that day. That's a man who likes his weed. I was there though. Like I actually saw him and said, "I know who you are," and everyone says that you're pretty fucking cool. But like it was something where I had no idea who I was talking to at the time. And if you've lived in Baltimore and the towns, I'm not talking the city area. I'm talking like the Baltimore County area. If you've been around, you know who that dude is. But the first time I ever heard his name, they were just like, "Oh, Michael Phelps is here." I had no idea who I was talking to. Not one iota. Not one iota of a fucking clue who he was. But yeah, that's actually a small little bit of lore that I have that I can actually like hold on to. So
I have
yeah,
a
like
I have my little 6 degrees of separation with Michael Phelps, where there is a his favorite breakfast place is right by my house. It's called Pete's Grill. He likes to
go
go there.
on.
It's a real shitty hole in the wall, like hot off the griddle, kind of ready to make like breakfast. But it's like it's pretty good. I mean, if you like a sloppy sort of Waffle House style breakfast, you can't go wrong. That's his favorite place to go.
Wow. Okay. Nice. Continue.
April 1st, the Netherlands becomes the first country in the world to make same-sex marriage legal. It would take us fucking, I would say about like what, like a decade, like and a half more.
When? Okay, so 2001. Okay, yeah. Okay,
April
2011.
1st,
Wow.
America legalizes gay marriage. Let's see. What was our date? Yeah, June 26, 2015 on our end. So we were
Whoa.
we were 14 years behind them.
Good
Uh
Lord.
I know that doesn't make us look great.
No,
April,
not at
actually,
all.
I'm not gonna lie. This whole year politically does not make us look great. This is a bad, this is a bad political
No,
year for
not at all. Not at
the
all.
video games and the wrestling were hot. The world events were not.
They
April
certainly were
7th,
not.
April 7th, the Mars Odyssey is launched. And that was a really big fucking deal. They're trying to
Yes,
find
it
life on
was.
Mars. I don't really think they did, but
When was it? Okay, my dad told me, I forget what year it was, but he said we found water on Mars, and that means that there must be life on Mars. When
yeah.
was that?
Yeah, okay, so what was 2002, the Mars Odyssey did find
There we
some
go.
large quantities of hydrogen ice just below the surface.
There we
And then
go. There we go.
yeah, hell yeah. Yeah,
All
fucking
of it
yeah.
lines up. That lines up. There we go.
Yeah, that would have been around when your dad probably told you that. All right, then we go
Yep.
into April 17th. A letter between Gail Norton and Jeb Bush is released stating that the Bush administration has decided to go ahead with plans to auction 6 million acres of potentially oil and gas rich seabed in the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah, this was rich. This was rich for like the Bush oil stuff, and eventually in the year we are gonna hit Enron.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. All
April
right.
21st. Speaking of the draft, April 21st, NFL draft, Virginia Tech quarterback Michael Vick is the first pick by the
Ooh,
Atlanta
Michael
Falcons.
Vick, the pit bull fighting son of a gun from Virginia Tech. And if anyone doesn't know, Michael Vick was very highly regarded as a quarterback that could actually run the ball.
He was like I would say he was one of the first big like now the running quarterback is like the hot thing,
Yeah, it
but
is. Oh well, I
but
mean, come
back
on, man. It's not even a hot thing anymore. It's like standard.
yeah it's like
Like,
the thing.
yeah, like a
I
quarterback that can actually move is that's a big deal.
I say that as a Ravens fan. We've got like the ultimate running quarterback that
I
people are
say
always
that
mad
as an
about.
RG3 fan, so
Yeah, you do. He was like that was that man's thing. I always still feel bad that Haloti Nada like started off the fucking injuries that kind of just took RG3 out.
Oh, yeah. What RG3 got injured in the 2012, oh no, the 2013 playoffs. The 2012, 2013 year of the NFL, RG3 had a fantastic year, and then the Redskins, now known as the Commanders, they actually got into the fucking playoffs for the first time in a long time. I can't really recall it, but he got injured. He had a bad leg injury, and he was never the same after that, ever.
I actually mostly blame that on the coaches because I remember like he was really
They
badly
kept playing
injured.
with him, yo. They
Yeah,
kept
kept playing
playing
with
with
him.
him. Yeah, man. They were like, oh, because RG3 had such a hot year, and it was like, oh God, we gotta keep this going. And even though he in the Ravens game in November of that year of 2012, he got injured. And he, it was a stinger. It's what you would call a stinger, but it was much more serious than I thought. And RG3 kind of got used up, and he was never the same, which is a
Hmm.
real shame. All right, so go on, continue.
All right, April 23, Fatboy Slim releases the single Weapon of Choice with a music video directed by Spike Jonze starring Christopher Walken dancing. This is one of like the most famous music videos ever. That's why I even felt the need to say it. I mean, we've all seen the fucking videos of Christopher Walken just in like a penthouse just dancing his ass off.
I have not. I have
You
no
haven't?
idea what Jesse's talking about right now.
Oh, go
No.
watch when we sign off. Go watch that video. It's very very popular. This was a
Send that to
weird.
me on Facebook.
Yeah, I definitely will. I mean, like we all know Fatboy Slim. What about now, the Funk So Brother?
Yes,
With
I
that,
do.
like,
What about now from the Shong Show?
this is a
Yeah,
very,
yeah, I
this is a
know.
very, this is a very interesting. Like the early 2000s is an interesting time for electronic music because it's all this kind of it's all very British. It's just like Fatboy Slim and the Prodigy and like
Was
all that.
Fatboy Slim British?
Yeah, yeah, all these dudes are British. It's like
Oh shit. Okay.
they're all part of a movement called like Big Beat, which is like like we're all into the like shit that you hear on the Matrix soundtrack. It's kind of what it is.
Okay.
Like
All
that
right.
that sort of like all right, well let's continue.
Yes, yes, yes.
May 3rd, the United States loses its seat on the UN Human Rights Commission for the first time since the
For
commission was
what? What was
formed
the bit? What was
in
the big knock?
1947. Let's interpret as a stinging rebuke by other member nations reflecting glowing opposition to US foreign policy. We were being dicks. We were doing the whole, we had been in the Gulf War shit for a little while at that point. Uh, you know,
Go on,
committing our
because
own.
I'm very unaware of this.
Yeah, well, this is Bush Senior. We're in like the whole like Iraq War with Bush Senior, the first Gulf War. It was a secret ballot that saw the U.S. lose its seat to European nations, including France and Sweden. The exclusion was seen as a blow to U.S. efforts to hold certain countries accountable for human rights violations. Um, U.S.
Damn.
officials
So we
expect Yeah, it's like U.S. officials expressed frustration, noting that dictatorships remained on the commission. So it might have been more that we were beefing with other dictatorships, so they just kind of kicked us.
okay. All right. All right. Keep it moving. Keep it moving.
And now we are the dictatorship. So isn't that fun? Isn't that
Yeah,
fun?
kind of. Yeah, kind of. We're definitely did you see the new passport that Trump is like pushing for the 250th anniversary of the United States? Like, dude, you can only get this passport in some I think it's like Washington or whatnot, but like
Yeah,
he's got this new passport that if you get it renewed and you get it in this part of the part of the United States, it's gonna have his fucking face on it, and like, ugh, it's really gross, man.
uh,
I
we
was go
we're,
on.
we're basically his merch factory at this point.
Yeah,
It's
dude.
like, I
Everyone,
mean,
just know this: the American nation right now is Trump's ability to make money, and that is it. That
that's
is
like, yeah,
it.
we're just Trump's money factory. It's
Yep.
it's
Yep.
like I mean, say what you will about Bush, the dude did release like a million commemorative coins, but like at
No, he
least he's
didn't. No, he didn't. No, like we're in a time period where this is just like this is the new norm, and it kind of sucks. And when I say it
Uh,
kind of sucks, I mean it really fucking sucks. But continue on, my friend.
in better news, on May 18th, DreamWorks Pictures Shrek, starring Mike
Shrek.
Myers, Eddie
Oh
Murphy, and
yes,
Cameron
Eddie
Diaz.
Murphy, Mike Myers, and Cameron Diaz. Man, fuck
Now, what's
yes.
interesting about this movie, and if you're like a film nerd, you probably already know this, is originally this movie was made for Chris Farley to play Shrek.
I had
Um,
no idea. I did not know
yeah,
that.
no, the original, even the original drawings, like the concept art of what Shrek was supposed to look like, he looks a lot less like kind of Mike Myers and more like fucking, he looks like Chris Farley. I
I
personally, a lot of people look at that as a we missed something. I personally think Mike Myers is much more, his humor and ability to impersonate like British and Scottish is way more on point for the Shrek universe than Chris Farley would have been. Rest in peace, Chris Farley. I mean, I love Chris
Yes, rest
Farley,
in peace,
but
Chris Farley. But I will agree with you because my dad was a big proponent of fucking Mike Myers. Whenever my dad, when my dad first watched Austin Powers, he said, "Do you know who that is?" I was like, "No." He's like, "That's Mike Myers," and I said, "Continue." And he's like, "He was a big SNL guy. Like this guy is not just an SNL guy; he's a comedic force." And his ability to do accents and other, I don't know how proficient he is in other languages, but my dad really pushed the idea that verbally, like the way that he used his verbiage and accents and all that kind of stuff was very, very diverse.
yeah,
Very,
he's
very
like
diverse.
my dad also. What is it with dads and Mike Myers? My dad also had a thing for Mike Myers. My dad loved the first
Our
Austin
dads
Powers
were
movies.
part of that SNL. I mean, come on, man. My dad would tell me that he was going like when he would come home drunk, he would get like a bag of Taco Bell tacos. Like there was apparently a deal where he could get like 10 for like $4.50, and he would come home and just like pass out while watching SNL.
See, that's like, but I want to know how my dad got into it because my dad stopped watching SNL after like fucking Bill Murray and all of them left. Like we're talking
My
like
dad's yeah.
70s.
Yeah, my dad's last I think my dad was a real 80s guy, and I think the last SNL skit that he really really pushed on me was the Cheeseburger skit with Dan Aykroyd, and there was another guy.
I
But
think that
do you
was
know what I'm talking about?
John Belushi, I think maybe. That might have been
Yes, and
Belushi.
my dad loved John Belushi, loved him. But he was a really big proponent of, SNL during that time period was in its golden years.
Yeah, good old fun. I mean, I 90s SNL is was good too. That's kind of like I watched SNL in the 90s and a little bit of the early thousands. If we're talking like what's going on in SNL during this time period, we're like in what like the Will Ferrell kind of era, Jimmy
Yes.
Fallon. But
Oh wow,
anyway,
Fallon was in there, huh?
yeah,
Damn.
those like yeah, there's actually quite a few people like that we now see regularly made it through that SNL. But
Yo,
next
Jimmy
we move
Fallon
to
was continue. Yeah, yeah, keep
well,
going.
go on. I want to let's
I
talk
was
about
gonna
Jimmy
say
Fallon.
Fallon was on the Man Show, wasn't he?
No, that was Kimmel.
Oh shit, that was Kimmel.
Kimmel.
Fallon. What was Fallon
Kimmel.
actually? Go on.
Fallon was SNL. He just did SNL, and then he basically jumped from SNL and got the like. Oh, he did movies for a little while. Then he got the Tonight Show.
Wait a minute. Who was doing it with Kimmel on the Man Show?
Fuck, who was that?
Who was that?
Adam Carolla, who is now like an
Yes, that was it.
alt-right.
That was it.
He's
You
like an
got it.
alt-right conservative comedian, and Jimmy Kimmel is like Donald Trump's worst nightmare, despite
Yeah,
the
he's
fact
a
that
well,
he's like.
he's his worst mid comedian nightmare.
And it's like it's a
That's what he
Jimmy
is.
Fallon like Jimmy Kimmel isn't that good of a comedian and nothing he said is that bitey. It's just like he's really just triggering this entire movement with like just real low hanging fruit. That's all I have
And
to
Jimmy
say.
Fallon is the he was on Ben Stein's Money, correct?
I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
that's a deep cut right there. I think Jimmy
Wow.
Fallon. Look that up. Look that up. That's a Comedy Central show. It was called "Win Ben Stein's Money." I think he was like he was Ben Stein's, partner on the show, and I think that at the time he just looked like this. Um, I can't even describe him at that time. He had a very, very unique steeze about him. He was he was unspoken, but he was a very, very good comedic playback. He bounced off of Ben Stein very well on that show. Who was that? Google that.
Ben Stein. And then I've got two last ones that we'll go into after this. Ben
All
Stein,
right,
Money, co-host. It was Kimmel.
Kimmel, not Fallon. Okay,
Yeah, so
okay.
it's getting our late night Jimmys mixed up here.
Getting our Jimmys mixed up.
Getting our
Yes,
late
yes,
night
yes. All
getting our
right, all
late night
right.
Slim Jims. All right, so
I
we've
can
got
admit.
two
Go on.
we've got two because we should wrap this up. We've got two big movie releases. June 18th, The Fast and the Furious premieres.
Bleh,
Yeah, a movie that has had way more
um,
sequels than
than
it
it
has
ever
had any
deserved.
right.
Than it ever deserved. Good
And like
Lord.
five spin-off films.
Dude, I would admit, when my brother brought home that DVD, because if you ever saw the trailers to Fast and the Furious, they were all over the place. And when I saw the trailers, all I could think about was the woman in that movie, the actress, the head actress. She would say, my bro, like she said something along the lines of, "My brother doesn't see anything in anyone, but he sees something in you." That's not verbatim, but it was the corniest fucking line, and I thought it was it's
It's
such a
all about
joke.
family. It's all about
Yeah,
family, Cameron.
that
And
too,
this
that
is like
too.
and this was the early days when before The Rock came and made everything complicated and started beefing with everybody because that's what he does.
Yeah,
All right.
Fast and the Furious. Ugh.
And our final one before we say goodbye to you. June 29th, AI Artificial Intelligence drops, directed by Steven Spielberg. What's interesting about this movie is this is actually a completed, in terms of being written and everything, it was completed by Stanley Kubrick. And Kubrick died before he could make it. It was going to be Kubrick's next film. So
So
Spielberg took over
Spielberg
the
took
reins.
over. Yeah,
And
okay.
I mean, who better? Who better to do it than Spielberg? The man's a genius. It's a
Now,
fucking.
ladies and gentlemen, I've never seen AI. I know it's a Haley Joe Osment film. I know
Yes.
that. Yes.
Also, fun conspiracy theory about Stanley Kubrick. People think that his death, which he died shortly before his final film, Eyes Wide Shut, they believe that that was him about to expose the Epstein files in the movie, and that he was killed because of that, because he did die kind of suddenly, right before the movie released. Um,
Was Kubrick in any way like in the island, or like did he ever go there to have parties?
Now I don't. He's not in the files or anything, but I mean, he was like he was famous, so I'm sure he rubbed. I'm sure he rubbed elbows with like people that did. I'm sure he got the inspiration from something he heard of. I don't think he was breaking. I mean, the movie doesn't have any like fucking
Direct
like
references, yeah.
yeah. It's not really like you don't watch it and you don't feel like something's really being exposed. I also, if I remember correctly, it's also based off of a fucking novella that came out in like 1926. So there's also that.
Is that how it's pronounced? Novella?
Yeah, it's a novella is like a novel but shorter.
I know
Yeah.
what that means, but like I was always wondering if it's novella or novella.
That'd be like novella, I probably feel
Okay,
like.
got it.
Um, I could be wrong though, so we both could just sound stupid right now, but I mean, won't be the first or last time for me.
No, it
Uh,
won't. No, it won't. We are
but
both
yeah,
on the cusp of sounding silly, dumb, smart, whatever the fuck you want to, however you want to interpret it. But
we're just real cumbersome guys.
we are cumbersome guys, and we will get in your way, whether it's orally, or whatever the fuck. But Jesse and I have had in my opinion, a very, very fun first episode. It's a very, very deep, it's a deep dive, but that is what we want to do. We want to have fun. We want to make sure that you feel what we're feeling. And in my opinion,
The
I,
fun. And also I will say this, we most episodes will be a little bit more narrowed down in terms of topic and we'll be able to expound upon things a little bit more. We just kind of wanted to kick in with like, yeah, you want to make the debut episode something special. So we figured why not
well,
take an important
let
year in our lives.
let me be real. Jesse wanted to keep this under an hour, and I knew it. I knew we were gonna go over. I
I
knew
gave
it.
up on that like at the beginning too. I was like, "Oh, we're going over.
Yeah,
We're having too much fun."
when wrestling is going like 35 45 minutes, you're like, oh shit. Okay. Yeah, like we were really really vibing here, and that's kind of like what we want to do. We want to have fun. We want to put you guys in. We want to put everyone in our shoes. We want to make sure that you feel as if you're actually in the time period, or we want to make you feel like whatever we're talking about, you can actually fucking be in there and see it from our point of view. And that is something that I think, that's admirable for our first podcast.
Oh yeah, I think no, we had a good first one. We didn't go off topic too hard. We stuck to it. Even going over, I like we aren't even that bad. So I that's a
No,
good
no,
first
yeah.
run. Next episode, we will be bringing you the next half of 2001. So that's the stressful half. So like
That's yes, yes. And ladies and gentlemen, when I said the stressful half, we don't want to bring any negative vibes to the entire listening experience, but there are some things in the later half of 2001 that will it's going to be a little bit more serious, but we're not going to get into the exact details. I want to kind of put ourselves into the point of view of where a 10-year-old Jesse and a 14-year-old Cam were at the time. So,
oh no,
with that
definitely.
with that being said, this is Cumbersome Guys, Jesse and myself. We're going to be signing off, and we hope to see you when our next episode drops.